I was folding my son Ethan's freshly ironed work shirts when I heard the loud thud of a suitcase hitting the bedroom floor upstairs. The sound echoed through our two-story house in Columbus, Ohio, making my heart skip a beat. After raising children for over 30 years, I'd learned to recognize the difference between ordinary noise and the kind that signaled life was about to change forever. I set the laundry basket down and climbed the stairs. Ethan's bedroom door stood wide open. Clothes were scattered everywhere as he shoved them into a large black suitcase without folding a single thing. His movements were rushed, frantic, like someone trying to escape before they could be stopped. His laptop sat open on the bed, but the moment he noticed me, he quickly closed it. "Going somewhere?" I asked. Without looking at me, he replied, "Business trip. They called me in last minute." The excuse sounded rehearsed. Ethan worked as an insurance claims adjuster. His company barely sent anyone out of the office, let alone on emergency business trips. For how long? I don't know. He grabbed his shaving kit from the bathroom and accidentally knocked over a framed family photo. The glass shattered across the hardwood floor. It was the last picture we'd ever taken with my daughter-in-law, Emily, just months before cancer took her life. She was smiling while holding 6-year-old Noah in her arms. Ethan didn't even stop to pick it up. A knot formed in my stomach. Since Emily's death 7 years earlier, that photograph had never moved from his dresser. Every birthday and every anniversary, he'd quietly stand in front of it for a few moments. Now he stepped over the broken frame as though it were nothing more than trash. "Ethan," I whispered, "what's really going on?" For several seconds he said nothing. Then he looked directly into my eyes. The warmth I'd known all his life was gone. "I'm leaving, Mom." The words struck harder than I expected. Leaving? I should have done it years ago. My knees felt weak. "What about Noah?" His answer came without hesitation. "He's better off with you." I stared at him, unable to believe what I'd just heard. For 7 years, I helped raise my grandson while Ethan buried himself in work after Emily died. I'd cooked every meal, attended every parent-teacher conference,
and tucked Noah into bed almost every night.
but I never imagined Ethan would simply walk away. He zipped the suitcase shut. "I'm done pretending we're still a family." As he brushed past me toward the stairs, an icy feeling settled over me. I didn't know it yet, but losing my son that afternoon would be the smallest tragedy our family would face. The real nightmare was only beginning. The front door closed with a quiet click. For a few seconds, neither Noah nor I moved. I stood frozen in the hallway, staring through the glass as Ethan loaded his suitcase into his blue SUV. The engine started, the tires rolled down our driveway, and within moments, he disappeared around the corner without looking back even once. The silence he left behind felt heavier than any argument ever could. Our old grandfather clock ticked steadily in the living room. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, children laughed as they rode bicycles through the neighborhood, completely unaware that an entire family had just fallen apart. I slowly turned toward Noah. At 13, he looked so much like his mother. He had Emily's thoughtful hazel eyes and calm expression, but he had inherited Ethan's height. Most boys his age would have cried or demanded answers. Noah simply stood there with his backpack still slung over one shoulder. "Is Dad coming back?" he asked quietly. I wanted to tell him yes. I wanted to promise him everything would be fine. But after the look I'd seen in Ethan's eyes upstairs, I couldn't lie. I don't think he is. Noah lowered his head for only a second before nodding. Okay, that was all. No tears, no yelling, no begging. Just one quiet word. Somehow, that hurt even more. I walked over and wrapped my arms around him. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart." He hugged me back, but only briefly. Then he gently stepped away. "Grandma," he said, his voice unusually calm, "don't panic yet." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "I've noticed some things." Those 4 words instantly caught my attention. What kind of things? Instead of answering, Noah walked into the living room and placed his backpack on the coffee table. "For the past month," he said, "Dad hasn't been acting like himself." I sat down across from him. He was always hiding his phone. He started putting passwords on everything. He'd leave the house late at night and tell me he was working overtime. I swallowed hard. "I thought he was grieving," I whispered. "So did I." Noah opened his backpack and pulled out a small notebook. Every page was filled with neat handwriting, dates, times, license plate numbers, phone calls, names. My eyes widened. "You wrote all this down?" He nodded. Something felt wrong. I flipped through several pages.
Every unusual event from the previous 6 weeks had been carefully documented.
There were notes about unfamiliar phone numbers, bank visits Ethan had never mentioned, receipts from expensive restaurants, even photographs Noah had quietly taken of his father's car parked outside places he'd claimed never to visit. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't have proof." The maturity in his voice startled me. "I didn't want you worrying unless I knew something was really happening." I stared at my grandson. When had he become this observant? When had this quiet little boy learned to notice details most adults overlooked? He reached into his backpack once more and removed a slim silver laptop. "I think Dad didn't just leave us," he said. "I think he's been planning this for months." A chill crept down my spine. "What are you saying?" Noah looked directly into my eyes. "The first thing we need to do," he said, opening the laptop, "is check every one of our bank accounts." The confidence in his voice made my heart race. I had no idea what he was about to uncover. But somehow, deep inside, I already knew one thing. Whatever Ethan had taken with him when he walked out that door wasn't just his suitcase. For the past month, he said, Dad hasn't been acting like himself. I sat down across from him. He was always hiding his phone. He started putting passwords on everything. He'd leave the house late at night and tell me he was working overtime. I swallowed hard. I thought he was grieving, I whispered. So did I. Noah opened his backpack and pulled out a small notebook. Every page was filled with neat handwriting, dates, times, license plate numbers, phone calls, names. My eyes widened. You wrote all this down? He nodded. Something felt wrong. I flipped through several pages.
Every unusual event from the previous 6 weeks had been carefully documented.
There were notes about unfamiliar phone numbers, bank visits Ethan had never mentioned, receipts from expensive restaurants, even photographs Noah had quietly taken of his father's car parked outside places he'd claimed never to visit. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't have proof. The maturity in his voice startled me. I didn't want you worrying unless I knew something was really happening. I stared at my grandson. When had he become this observant? When had this quiet little boy learned to notice details most adults overlooked? He reached into his backpack once more and removed a slim silver laptop. I think Dad didn't just leave us, he said. I think he's been planning this for months. A chill crept down my spine. What are you saying? Noah looked directly into my eyes. The first thing we need to do, he said, opening the laptop, is check every one of our bank accounts. The confidence in his voice made my heart race. I had no idea what he was about to uncover. But somehow, deep inside, I already knew one thing. Whatever Ethan had taken with him when he walked out that door wasn't just his suitcase. Noah placed the laptop between us on the kitchen table and pressed the power button. His face remained calm, but I noticed his fingers moving faster than usual across the keyboard. Whatever he was expecting to find, he already seemed mentally prepared for it. I've already checked some things, he admitted. I looked up. You what? I wanted to be sure before I told you. The words caught me off guard. You've been looking at our accounts? He nodded once. Dad always used the same passwords. I knew them because he asked me to help him set up online banking a few years ago. He never changed them. A knot tightened in my stomach. Noah, I'm not snooping, Grandma. I was worried. He signed into my savings account and quietly turned the screen toward me. For a moment, the numbers didn't make sense. Available balance, $12.47. I blinked several times. Then I leaned closer. No. My voice barely escaped my lips. That can't be right. Only 2 weeks earlier, I checked the account myself. There had been over $68,000. Every dollar I'd saved after 40 years as an elementary school teacher. My retirement. My emergency fund. The money that was supposed to carry us through whatever life threw our way. Now there were barely enough dollars left to buy lunch. There has to be some mistake, I whispered. Noah gently shook his head. I checked 3 times. My hands began trembling. Look at the transaction history. He scrolled slowly. Wire transfer. Wire transfer. Online transfer. Cash withdrawal. Every few days, another large amount had disappeared. $5,000. $80,000. $12,000. The transfers stretched back almost 3 months. He didn't take it all at once, Noah said quietly. He moved it little by little so nobody would notice. I felt physically sick. Every transfer carried Ethan's authorization. Every withdrawal had been carefully planned. What about your college fund? Noah opened another account. The balance read exactly $0. Covered my mouth. No, all of it, Noah answered softly. The entire scholarship savings account. That account had taken 13 years to build. Birthday gifts, Christmas money, Emily's life insurance contribution before she passed away. Everything gone. I could barely breathe. My son hadn't simply abandoned us. He had stripped away our future before walking out the front door. Noah opened another folder on the computer. There's more. I stared at him. There can't possibly be more. I wished that were true. He clicked another document. A credit report appeared on the screen. Several unfamiliar accounts were highlighted in red. The $5,000 personal loan, $18,000 line of credit, $22,000 credit card. I frowned. I never applied for any of these. You didn't. Noah looked directly into my eyes. Someone applied using your name. My entire body went cold. What? They used your social security number. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Every application had been approved within the last month. Each listed my information, my address, my date of birth, even a digital copy of my signature. But I had never signed a single document. Tears blurred my vision. My own son. Noah reached across the table and gently squeezed my hand. I know. For the first time since Ethan left, I saw anger flash across my grandson's normally calm face. This wasn't impulsive, he said. It wasn't a mistake. He paused before speaking the words that sent a chill through my entire body. Grandma, I think Dad had someone helping him. The room suddenly felt much colder. Helping him, Noah slowly opened another folder labeled Evidence. I know her name. He took a slow breath. And I think she's the reason Dad destroyed our family. Noah clicked open the folder labeled Evidence. Inside were screenshots, bank records, copies of emails, and photographs that had all been organized into neatly named folders. It looked less like a teenager's laptop and more like the desk of a professional investigator. I stared at him in disbelief. When did you do all of this? Over the last few weeks, he answered quietly. At first, I thought Dad was just acting strangely. Then I realized something much bigger was happening. He opened a photograph. A smiling woman stood outside a modern office building, dressed in a navy business suit. She looked to be in her early 30s, confident and polished. Who is she? I asked. Her name is Rachel Collins. He pulled up another image, this one taken from a company website. She works as a financial advisor at Capital Horizon Financial. I frowned. What does she have to do with your father? Noah hesitated for a moment before opening another file. An email conversation appeared on the screen. At first, it looked harmless. Lunch plans, jokes, heart emojis. Then the messages became more disturbing. Our plan is almost ready. She'll never notice the transfers. Once we leave Ohio, nobody can stop us. My hands started shaking. They were planning this together. Noah nodded. 4 months. He clicked another email. Rachel had attached spreadsheets listing our savings accounts, retirement funds, and even Noah's college account. Beside each account was a schedule showing exactly when the money would be transferred. It wasn't theft committed in a moment of temptation. It had been carefully planned. Every dollar, every date, every step. They treated us like a business project, I whispered. They weren't just stealing money, Noah replied. They were planning a new life with it. Tears filled my eyes. I don't understand. Dad wasn't in debt. We weren't struggling. Why would he do this? Noah remained silent for several seconds. Finally, he opened another document. It was Rachel's social media profile. Luxury vacations, designer handbags, fine dining, sports cars. Every photograph showed the same lifestyle. But something immediately caught my attention. How can she afford all this? She can't. Noah clicked another folder. I checked public court records. A document appeared across the screen. Rachel Collins versus First National Credit Union. Another followed. Collection lawsuit. Then another. Credit card default. There were nearly a dozen financial judgments against her. She's drowning in debt, Noah explained. Almost $200,000. I looked back at the photographs. Everything suddenly made sense. The expensive vacations, the luxury clothes, the perfect online life. It had all been built on borrowed money. And Dad believed her? He believed she had a plan. What kind of plan? Noah opened the final email. My heart sank as I read it. Once we have your mother's retirement savings and Noah's college fund, we'll move to Florida. New names, new jobs, fresh start. I covered my mouth. They were never coming back. No, they planned to disappear forever. The room fell silent. Outside, rain had begun tapping softly against the kitchen windows. For the first time since Ethan walked out, I finally understood something. He hadn't left because he was confused. He hadn't left because he needed space. He had already chosen another life, and we simply weren't part of it. I wiped my tears away. What do we do now? We stopped them. I looked at him with disbelief. How? You think nobody knows? They think they covered every trail. A small smile crossed his face. They're wrong. He reached into his backpack and removed another folder. This one was much thicker. What is that? Copies. Copies of what? Everything.
Every email.
Every transfer. Every bank statement. Every loan application. Every screenshot. I made backups in 3 different places. I blinked. Why? In case Dad tried deleting the evidence. I could hardly believe the words coming from a 13-year-old. You planned for that? I planned for everything. He stood and walked toward the living room window. Rain continued falling outside, washing the driveway where Ethan's SUV had disappeared only hours earlier. They think they're winning right now, Noah said quietly. They're probably celebrating. But tomorrow morning, he turned toward me. Their perfect plan starts falling apart. Cold determination filled his eyes, one I'd never seen before. Not anger, not revenge, justice. For the first time all day, I felt something stronger than fear. Hope. Because Rachel Collins and my son believed they had stolen everything that mattered. They were wrong. They had overlooked the one thing money could never buy. 13-year-old boy who had seen everything, remembered everything, and had quietly gathered enough evidence to destroy the future they had spent months building. Neither of them knew it yet. But before another 40 beats hours had passed, the first phone call would be made. The first bank account would be frozen. And the first crack in their carefully constructed lies would begin to spread. Their escape had already ended. They just didn't know it yet.